ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SMS.
Well, hello and welcome to the Midday News on Voice of the People Television. I am David Edwin. Before we begin the news, we would urge you to kindly visit our website, www.vop.ng, for fresh and trending stories. First, the headlines. Nerc insists states reducing power tariff to pay subsidy. Rick's worries as WPF suspend nutrition aid to Northeast. Again, President Bola Tinubu mocks opposition, calls it coalition of confusion. You are intolerant. ADC, CUPP blast Bola Tinubu over labeling. FG to repatriate Nigerian workers stranded in CAR. Gunmen kill 14 villages, policemen in Plateau's attack. And in business, NBS puts banks, others impute to economy at 1.77 trillion naira. In sports, Nigeria off to school sports championship in Algeria. In the world of entertainment, Plateau to host Mr. Tourism Africa 2025. Now the news in full. The Nigerian Electricity Regulation Commission has advised state governments slashing tariffs to reflect the electricity wholesale cost in their rates or be ready to pay subsidies for any tariff shortfall. It explained that state governments do not have jurisdiction over the national grid and electricity power stations established under federal laws or operating on the licenses it issued. Nerc stated this in reaction to the controversies generated by the Enugu Electricity Regulatory Commission's decision to slash the Band A tariff, just as others are also taking over control of their states. In a notice on Thursday, the Commission acknowledged that states that have assumed full regulatory oversight over their intra-state markets are now authorized to create and regulate transactions in their state electricity markets. It noted that this extends to the development of tariffs methodologies that shall apply to end-use customers in their respective states. This came as the power distribution and generation companies warned that states' absolute power to determine tariffs begin when they start generating and transmitting electricity. In other development, labor unions under the umbrella of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, and National Union of Electricity Employers have rejected the ban on industrial actions by power sector workers in the proposed Electricity Amendment Bill. In the proposed Electricity Act Amendment Bill 2025, currently before the National Assembly, the federal government seeks to bar trade unions in the power industry from embarking on strikes or picketing activities without a formally negotiated minimum service agreement. Reacting to the proposed bill on Thursday, NLC President Joe Ajero described the bill as unrealistic, stating that if passed, the union would violate it immediately. Stating the NLC discomfort with it, Ajero reminded the federal government that Nigeria is signatory to International Labour Organization Convention 87 and 98. According to him, the convention protects the right to organize and undertake collective bargaining, which the proposed amendment seeks to violate conventions. He added that the proposed bill also attempts to override the Trade Union Act, which the Electricity Act has no jurisdiction to do. The United Nations World Food Programme says that effect from July, it is suspending all emergency food and nutrition aid for 1.3 million people in northeastern Nigeria over a critical funding gap of $120 million to sustain food and nutrition operations through the end of 2025. In a statement, Stevenson disclosed that nearly 31 million people in Nigeria are now facing acute hunger, adding that at the same time, WFP's operation in northeast Nigeria will collapse without immediate sustained funding. The statement noted that WPF's food and nutrition stocks had been completely exhausted, stating that its last supplies left warehouses in early July and that life-saving assistance could end after the current round of distribution. According to Stevenson, this is no longer just a humanitarian crisis, but a growing threat to regional stability as families pushed beyond their limits are left with nowhere to run. He noted that without immediate funding, millions of vulnerable people will face impossible choices, including enduring increasingly severe hunger, migrate, or possibly risk exploitation by extremist groups in the region. Moving on, President Bola Tinubu has again taken a swipe at the opposition, describing the coalition African Democratic Congress as a coalition of confusion. Tinubu spoke at the 14th National Executive Committee, the ruling All Progressive Congress, after Professor Netawe Yewatda emerged as the party's new national chairman. Similar to his earlier comments about a month ago, Tinubu said it was not a bad idea to abandon a sinking ship, which has a veiled reference to the defection sweeping the People's Democratic Party. He added that it was also not a bad idea to be absent from a coalition of confusion, which is a veiled dig at the coalition-backed ADC, which has recently gained support from top opposition figures, including former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and Labour Party's Peter Obi. And then moving on their part, the African Democratic Congress has accused President Bola Tinubu and his ruling All Progressive Congress of intolerance towards opposition, stating that Tinubu's coalition of confusion remark shows they are unsettled by the ADC's growing influence. According to the ADC's interim National Publicity Secretary, Balaji Abdullahi, the president's comment revealed the ruling party's unease with the ADC's rising political momentum. Wondering how the president of a democratic country could speak of the opposition in such a way, Abdullahi insisted that the APC's rhetoric reflected an inability to tolerate genuine opposition. He added that the APC had become accustomed to operating unchanged, taking advantage of a previously weak opposition. Similarly, the Conference of United Political Parties said Tinubu's remark betrayed anxiety within the presidency and the APC ahead of the 2027 general election. CUPP National Secretary Peter Ame stated in Abuja that the president's comment was a sign of political anxiety marked as confidence. Meanwhile, the new chairman of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Nentawe Yewatda, has vowed tough decision as leader of the ruling party, even as he declares intention to draw more opposition governors into his party. Speaking on a local television program, Yewatda said the party's leadership confidence in him is to ensure he takes a tough decision, but with genuine gentility and teamwork in the collective interest of the party. Yewatda said he would consult broadly across the party's organs and invest in legwork to bring more governors from the People's Democratic Party and other opposition parties into the APC. Explaining that his job is to unite and expand the party, he noted that the APC now has 23 governors and still counting, adding that he would bring in more through legwork. So far in 2025, Governors Umar Eno of Akwa Ibom State and Sheriff of Owerri have dumped the PDP and the APC. For the APC, leaving the PDP with 10 states, while the Labour Party, New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, and the All Progressive Grand Alliance have 1 each. Away from that story, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs says the federal government has commenced efforts to rescue and repatriate a group of Nigerian workers stranded in the Central African Republic. The move follows a viral video showing the distressed individuals abandoned in the Bambari region, about 850 kilometers from the country's capital, Bangui. In a statement on Friday, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs confirmed that officials of the Nigerian mission in the Central African Republic have successfully established contact with the affected nationals. According to the statement by the ministry spokesperson, Kimiebi Ebinefa, the Embassy of Nigeria in Bangui is actively liaising with local authorities to ensure the safety, welfare, and swift repatriation of the victims. And to some legal matters now, a federal high court in Lagos has awarded a 10 million naira fundamental rights violation damages to some NSAS protesters against the Inspector General of Police and the Lagos State Commissioner of Police. The applicants' beneficiaries include Hassan Soweto, Diale Kingsley, Ilesomi Kende, Osopale Adesheye, Olamilekan Sanusi, and Oshuba Blessing, amongst others. They were joined by the Education Rights Campaign, Take It Back movement, and Campaign for the Defense of Human Rights, among others. In his judgment, Justice Musa Kakaki held that the applicants and protesters were unjustly harassed and their constitutional rights infringed upon while participating in the 4th Memorial Rally on October the 20th, 2024. He held that while law enforcement agencies hold constitutional powers to maintain order, such authority must be exercised within the confines of the democratic and the rule of law. The judge affirmed that the applicants were entitled to the constitutional rights of freedom of peaceful assembly and association as contained in the Nigerian Constitution. You're still watching the Midday News right here on Voice of the People Television. Now we'll go straight to the analysis segment of the news. And joining us to make sense of these stories and more is Mr. Dele Fanimo, who is Voice of the People TV's in-house political affairs analyst and a seasoned reporter. Joining us also virtually is Mr. Eugene Osigwe, who is a public affairs commentator, joining us this beautiful afternoon. Gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon.
All right, Mr. Eugene, I don't know if you can hear me. Very good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon.
All right, let's get to it almost immediately. I'm going to start from my studio analyst here. Interestingly, Mr. Dele, yesterday we had this conversation particularly about the award of 10 million naira given to the NSAS protesters as against the IG of Police and the Commissioner of Police. First off, aside the fact that I want to know what your general overview of this judgment is, what do you think from this time forward, going into any other kind of protest, would bring to the fold, particularly in the part of police brutality when it comes to peaceful demonstrations like we saw in the NSAS?
You see, what that judgment indicates is that there was excessive force. And it was established that human rights were infringed upon during that protest. Immediately I read the judgment yesterday, what came to my mind was not the monetary value. But the essence of that judgment is the fact that there is a pointer to the fact that you, because you hold the barrel of the gun, you hold the gun against taxpayers who you are supposed to protect, and because you have that state power, you abused it to the extent of injuring those you are supposed to protect. And that judgment has clearly stated that you people went beyond the bounds of your operations.
Okay.
Your rules of engagement. So, even if they are not paying the 10 million naira, but it's also instructive that, look, we have a justice system that can penalize. Now, going forward from this, I would have expected that in-house, the police force should look inwards now and ask themselves, how do we manage crowd? What are those things we're supposed to be doing? Is it psychological training? Is it sociological training? Do we need to evaluate our personnel, their fitness mentally,
Right.
using a psychiatrist?
I like that part of fitness, really, because you see some police officers on the streets of Nigeria and you ask yourself, is this person supposed to be a police officer?
Protect me, because they look more like hoodlums. And you also have to look at, okay, what is the... Sometimes when I am an HR practitioner, when you want to engage, the certificate comes last.
Right. As
Now,
against what is in the head.
Because that's why in the university system, when you are graduating, what they will tell you is, having satisfied these students in character and learning. It is not a misplacement that they put character before learning.
Okay.
That is why if you don't scale the hurdles of character, you may graduate before your graduation.
All right. Now you did mention the fact that even though they might not pay this money, is it the possibility that the Nigerian police force would not be paying this figure that the court has pronounced?
You see the way the place is configured. Even monies that are supposed to be the rights emolument or perseverance or even debt allowance, you hardly see them paying. In most cases, if they have to pay at all, it is likely that the beneficiary may have even died.
Okay, now you are right now talking from the position of a seasoned reporter, so I dare say you possibly have an insight of
Look,
what
let me give you an
this
example. Let me give you an
looks
example.
like.
Let me give you an example. There was a particular woman. The husband died while encountering armed robbers in Delta State, in Warri, to be precise. And in these barracks, you have to, the other colleagues of the fallen policeman, most times they contribute money for the burial of their colleagues. Even when the state is supposed to be responsible for that burial, they buy coffin. Do you know that that woman was going from Warri to Asaba for more than 3 years? For more than 3 years, this woman was going from Warri to Asaba just to claim what is due to her late husband. Eventually, do you know the saddest part of it, the tragic part of it was, on this particular occasion, the DPO of that police station in Asaba, the DCO, the orderly of the DPO, and this woman, they were traveling in a van, police van, to go to Asaba, probably for the DPO to influence that payment, if he could. Along the way, they encountered armed robbers. All of them were killed.
Oh boy.
The woman.
What a tragic situation. And again, that speaks to the part of a system not functioning well enough to cater for the police officers themselves.
Yes, conversely, you see, that's why corruption has happened to every sector in Nigeria.
All right, then. Let's take it to our virtual guest. Mr. Eugene, I know you've been a part of this conversation since we started. I'm going to come to you on the same question. First off, what's your general overview of this judgment by the Federal High Court in Lagos, awarding a 10 million naira fundamental right violation damage to some of the hashtag #EndSARS protesters who, of course, the judgment clearly states that their fundamental rights were infringed upon? What's your general overview? And then what does this judgment clearly state going forward, particularly on the part of protesters who, of course, are being malhandled by some security operatives?
Yeah, thank you. Well, the judgment is admission of guilt that the system acted wrongly. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
The system committed a crime against those who were exhibiting their fundamental human rights. I have not seen the judgment, so I can't speak much about it. But public perception, well, it's a good development. However, we've had judgments like this on many occasions. Who the police are who is to enforce it? So how are we sure that the beneficiaries are going to get compensation for the violation of their rights? So that is the area we have to look at. We've had judgments cases in the past, and I'm sure up to today, many of them has not received their benefits as a result of that judgment. So it cannot, saying that it's a good development, that's fine, but getting it executed, who is going to enforce it? The same system that you have passed a judgment again, are they the one going to enforce it? Are we still going to spend energy trying to drive home the fact through the court again to ensure that the benefits get to those who are supposed to receive it?
Now you're talking about system. Sorry to cut you there. Now you talk about system. And of course, my studio guest here said the same thing about the system. How can we get the system working to be able to pay the compensation that a court in Nigeria, that of course is adjudged to be the final hope of the people, has declared? How can we get the system working? Because it's not just enough to just give out judgment, just like you said earlier. So how can we get the system really working so that these judgments can be carried out in total, and of course the people enjoy the true dividend of democracy, as it were?
Well, before I speak to how we can get the system working, let's reflect that people who are victims of this system, some of them are graduates of the system. So while they were there, they saw this problem and they did not attend to it. And once they are now out of the system, they become victims of that, they cry out. So fundamentally, it's a fundamental problem that we have to take back in time to see how we can begin to address it. Now, what the foundation for which those people who run our system, all of us who run the system, is the basic where we have to start from the elementary level. It is almost not too late, but look at the institutions that we came through. Just cast your mind back to how the schools were in the 70s, in the 80s. What has fundamentally gone wrong? I was speaking to somebody in the area where I stay. The population where I stay in Lagos has outgrown all the facilities there. And you now begin to cramp people into the same facility that have outgrown the place by over 500%, using the same facility. So fundamentally, the foundation to reason and think rightly is not there. So the government have to look into this across all strata. Okay. Not only in the judicial system. Judiciary is it's just a part of it. The police is a part of it. Well, what are the institutions producing those people who found themselves in this sector? Let's take a basic look at it. You can see that there is decay there. And you cannot use a faulty system to produce a perfect human being or a human being striving to be ideal. No. our institutions, we have to sit down and take a fundamental look at them. And that is why the private sector that has taken over this institution are doing well. But the public one that caters for the generality of us who produce the people who run the system, the foundation is decayed.
Now, I'm still going to stay with you. I'm still going to stay with you, Mr. Eugene. When you talk about the private sector doing well, and of course, as against the public sector, some quarters have said it is about the people, not just the government. It's about the people. Some civil servants, like some of us are aware of, rarely give that commitment that they would give to a private sector because they work in the government space. Is it about the government not getting it right, or the people themselves practically not being as prudent as they could be when they are in the private sector?
Well, it's a mix. But the greater bulk of the challenge stays with the government and the system we run.
Okay. Yes. Conclude your thoughts. Your thoughts.
And you cannot expect such a system that is lopsided to produce something that can drive growth or development.
Okay, then. Now, let's get to another conversation because of our time. The National Executive Committee of the ruling All Progressive Congress did meet yesterday. The 14th National Executive Committee did meet yesterday, and there was a major decision that was held. And of course, that decision was about the introduction of the new national chairman of the All Progressive Congress in the person of former humanitarian minister Tawe Yewada. Again, some quarters have said the politicking around his election into that position is something that...
Is it an election or his election?
Okay, you call it his election now.
No, there was no conduct. There was no electoral conduct.
Well, within the party, they decided
it was a consensus. Consensus election.
Okay, so you think this, like some quarters are saying, would not give the strength that
it's permissible anyway.
How do you mean?
It's allowed. Okay. If you arrive at the consensus, so there's no dissenting view. You can prop up somebody. Looking
at the person of Mr. Yewada, a lot of persons have said, look, this is someone who is, when he was a humanitarian minister, practically did nothing visible that Nigerians can peg their fingers on in that particular ministry. And again, at this point, he's talking tough. In fact, one of his statements is, we would bring more people into the party. Looking at that statement, do you think he has the width to be able to pull that amount of persons that he says he wants to pull?
You see, we cannot judge the incoming national chairman of APC by what he did in humanitarian ministry, because that place is innocuous and there is no clear-cut policy governing the affairs of that ministry. It was a special purpose vehicle. And that's why most people that passed through that office were either indicted or accused of some manipulations, including pilfering the national till.
You're talking about the situation with Beta Edu and of course...
Beta Edu and the other woman. So technically, we may not have to be able to. And besides, this man is a professor.
But there are some concerns about the fact that he is not about the most preferred when it comes to that position. Because some quarters have said, look, he's not even part of the founding members of the APC. Why make him the chairman?
You see, the important thing is, judging from experience and exposure to politics, it is not the most qualified that qualifies. It is the most pliant. Those who can follow through the script that should be acted at a particular point in time. And if it fits that bill, why not? And besides, the permutation is we want somebody who can hold the North Central, because attention is shifted to Northwest now for VP. Because Shetima will be dropped. That's why this man had to resign to pave way for Kwakwanso's VP ticket.
You mean
Kano.
the person of Ganduje?
Ganduje. And the person said he was sick. Suddenly so he had a miraculous healing. Within the time he was dropped when he resigned. And the following week when he was made chairman of the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN. So you can now see the game plan. He has to pave way for Kwankwaso's entry as VP. Because Kwankwaso has electoral value more than Shetima. And so this North Central shouldn't be left without being taken care of. So they zoned chairmanship of the party to the North Central. And this man had been in government, he had worked with Buhari, and they must have seen certain things that you and I cannot see from outside. That was why they reached that consensus that this is the man we want to use.
There are conversations about the fact.
The end of that use
Yeah.
is what you and I cannot tell.
Okay, let me take you to Mr. Eugene right now. I'm going to come back to you about one particular conversation surrounding the fact that he's been made one to muscle power with the likes of David Mark within that same region. And that seemed to be a major conversation.
Attack is the best form of defense.
Okay, well, Mr. Eugene, let me come to you quickly. The person of Nen Taiwe Yewatda emerging as the party's national chairman of the All Progressive Congress. What's your general review of his person? And then looking at the fact that this is one who is being picked from a particular ministry that quite a number of Nigerians have said has not been so visible in the politicking of Nigeria, to wanting to hold a party as strong as the All Progressive Party. Do you think, like I asked my guest in here, that he has the wit to be able to do much more than he was anticipated to do?
Well, for APC as it stands now, it's a place where everybody wants to be. So the chairman does not have to do much work other than to hold a place for the leadership of the party. So you can see that people are gravitating towards APC. And in your introduction, you said, I think about 23 governors
Yes.
are there now. So you have only about 11 that are still in opposition. So whoever is there is just holding, is a placeholder, taking directive for the hands behind the permutation. However, as APC, should they know that they cannot be complacent because of the realignment that is going on in the political space in Nigeria now. So one, like my colleague said in the studio, is there maybe to checkmate David Mark, who is a big influence in that region.
Right.
And I don't know about, I can't say, it's in the area of speculation that Kwankwaso is likely going to be the running mate to the president in the forthcoming election. When it happens, we can speak on that. But for now, it's still in the area of permutation.
Right.
However, what is most important in all this is that the common Nigerian man is not taken into consideration in all this alignment, the campaign, and all that. That is where the issue is.
All right.
Everybody is struggling and scheming to get to where he or she can benefit for himself.
Well, Mr. Eugene, you did preempt me there. You did preempt me because I was going to ask you about this particular side of the story just after the last question I asked you. But where I want you to concentrate on this particular conversation you've started is the conversation about the fact that the president did say in that particular national meeting of the APC that the economy is doing well, economy that he inherited. Of course, he used the word confused and wobbling. Confused and wobbling economy that he inherited from his predecessor, of course, who is late right now. And of course, he said the economy is doing good. From your perspective, let's have your view First, on the part of economy, do you think the president was spot on with his statement about the economy? And then, what is the reality of the presidency right now still politicking rather than pushing up true governance to Nigerians, according to some quarters that have said the presidency has stopped governance, but rather having to campaign for 2027?
Well, when I hear the people say that the president inherited a bad economy, I wonder, because inherited from who? Is it APC that has been in government? Is it that APC inherited a bad economy from PDP in 2015? So that is a question that begs to be answered for me, because the government has consistently been in power now for about 10 years. So who inherited what from who? Is it APC? So if they admit that in the last 8 years that they have failed, and now they are trying to make things better for Nigeria, that is a better explanation for me to buy in. Not that they inherited a bad government, because it's the same party that has been in government for 10 years. Okay. So that is, they should sell to us something else.
All right. So on the part of the economy, in just one sentence, on the part of the economy, has the president and of course this administration done well on the part of economy?
Yes, the government is doing well for a set of people, and the other set of people is not doing well. It depends on the side of the divide you belong. Okay. If you belong on the benefiting side, yes, he's doing well. But if you belong to the receiving side, which is the generality of Nigeria, no, he's not doing well.
All right, then. Let me come back to the studio. Mr. Fandimo, you are very aware of the conversation. I mean, you even spoke about it this morning. But I want to ask you, from the part of the presidency, when he did say that the economy that he inherited is that a wobbling and confused economy, those were his words, wobbling and confused economy that he inherited is presently doing well and better. From your perspective, do you think the presidency is doing really well according to what he said on the part of economy? And then talk to the part of having to campaign rather than run with governance in less than 2 years in office, as it stands, and according to some quarters right now.
You see, I'm sure that the president didn't say the economy is doing well. He only said he has a stable economy compared to what he inherited.
Well, that is what it means when you say...
No, when you say something is stable,
yes,
that is, you are coming from sub-zero to zero. Now, going forward is when you now begin to look at growth and development.
In another conversation, somewhere else, not even at the National Convention there was also the parts where the vice president did say to some business people that the president did make a strong stride with some of his reforms and that the economy is working very well. So two sides of the presidency now clearly saying the same thing.
Let me clear this straight. One, you don't expect somebody in the saddle to begin to talk ill of his administration. And that is exemplified by the president. As
against the reality on ground.
As against the reality on ground.
Okay.
You wouldn't expect that.
Okay.
So you have to grant that. You have to grant him that indulgence. Now, you see, for me, like I said in the morning, there are two sides to it. On the macro level and on the micro level. On the macro level, yes, based on the indices and those parameters that were listed. But it takes time for you to graduate from the macro level to the micro level, which is what concerns you and I.
Okay.
Except maybe you are on the other side, like Mr. Osigwe said. But I know I'm on this side, the massive side. So I've not felt the impact. And to me, whatever anybody is reading out as optics, statistics, may not really concern me directly, because I want to feel the impact from how much I buy fuel, from how much I drop as feeding allowance, from my purchasing power compared to the skyrocketing school fee, healthcare. I could recall that I had to place myself on a particular medication recently. The last time I bought that medication, that drug, was it was 7,000. I was alarmed when I got to the pharmacy shop and they were placing 17,800.
Oh yes, the medications in Nigeria.
You understand? So now what hope for the common man in this? So until the thing begins to drop,
trickle down to the micro
and
level.
trickle down to the micro level, that's when we can clap and say, yes, we have done well. But for now, it has not gotten to that side.
And then on the part of politicking, just like some quarters have said, that the president is no more truly having to face governance, but rather running forth for a campaign. You would recall in that same meeting, he did say that they're going to put up a progressive governors forum to build a befitting national secretariat for the ruling APC. That statement, compared to the reality that you just mentioned a couple of minutes ago, how do we juxtapose this, Mr. Fani?
You don't expect a ruling party not to have an edifice they can call their own.
What happens to the old one?
Maybe it's no longer befitting of a mega party accommodating fresh governors, fresh senators, fresh House of Rep members.
Well, unfortunately, this is where we have to draw anchor on the conversation. Thank you so very much, Mr. Dele Fanimo, for being here. Where we've been talking with Mr. Dele Fanimo, a seasoned reporter right here in Nigeria, and of course, Voice of the People TV's in-house political affairs analyst. And also joining us virtually, we're talking with Mr. Eugene Osigwe, who is also public and current affairs commentator as well. Gentlemen, thank you so very much for being here.
It's always my pleasure.
Well, the rest of the midday news will continue shortly just after this quick break. Do stay with us. Glad to have you back. You're still watching the midday news right here on Voice of the People Television. Now to more stories. The Anambra State Police Command says it cracked an interstate child stealing and abduction and trafficking syndicate operating in Uragu in Nnewi North local government area of the state. According to the spokesman, Tochukwu Kenga, the command's criminal investigation department, in collaboration with Adamawa police operatives, arrested a suspect on July the 15th and rescued 11 children comprising 5 boys and 6 girls. Ikenga said investigations revealed that the children were abducted or stolen and transported from Adamawa State. He added that the children were illegally given to unsuspected members of the public seeking abduction at 1.5 million naira for the boys and 800,000 naira for the girls. Meanwhile, he disclosed that the rescue children have been handed over to the team leader of the operatives from Adamawa Police Command, ACP Shuaibu Wara, for possible reuniting with their families. Meanwhile, no fewer than 14 villagers and a mobile police officer were reportedly killed on Thursday in 2 separate attacks by gunmen in Boko's local government area of Plateau State. Chairman of the Community Peace Observers in Bokos, Kefas Malai, confirmed the killings, stating that 14 natives were ambushed and killed by suspected terrorists, while 3 others were injured on their way from Bokos Market to Mangor village at about 4 p.m. Nigerian time. The victims were said to be mostly from the Chirang community. Malai further disclosed that security personnel had taken over control of the area to ensure the safety of the community. According to him, the attack came on the heels of another incident earlier in the day where a mobile police officer was killed at his duty post along Richard Road in the same Bokus Council. Nigeria has marked a significant milestone in its efforts to strengthen cancer care infrastructure and improve access to specialized treatments. This follows the official commissioning of the newly completed Oncology Center at the University of Benin Teaching Hospital in Edo State. Speaking at the event, representatives from the Ministry of Health emphasized the importance of the facility in addressing the growing burden of cancer in Nigeria. Rhoda Jones completes this report.
Cancer care infrastructure and improve access to specialized treatment. This follows the official commissioning of the newly completed Oncology Center at the University of Benin Teaching Hospital in Edo State. Speaking at the event, representatives from the Ministry of Health emphasized the importance of the facility in addressing the growing burden of cancer in Nigeria, noting that the UBTH Oncology Center is equipped with modern diagnostic and treatment technologies capable of saving thousands of patients annually.
This has been a promise delivered. In 2 years, we've embarked on a landmark transformation of Nigeria's health sector. We've delivered now 3 world-class oncology centers, with the one here in Benin as the 3rd one, and 3 others well advanced, money identified, budget appropriated, arrangements made in Zaria, Jos, and in Lagos. Additional ones in Maiduguri. Next week will be commissioned, not through NSIA, UCH, through PPP. So there are others. So the whole infrastructure landscape for health sector is changing in our eyes.
In his remarks, the Chief Medical Doctor of UBTH, Professor Darlington Obasike, commended the federal government for its investment and he reiterated the hospital's commitment to delivering high-quality, patient-centered cancer care.
Today's event marks a milestone. It's going to bring succor not just to the indigenes of Edo State. As we all know, UBTH is a referral center for all the states in the South-South region. So the access to care, to cancer care, oncology care, the journey to the medical journey and the financial application is going to be reduced with this.
Delivering a goodwill message on behalf of Governor Monday Pueblo, Deputy Governor Dennis Idawusa acknowledged the Honorable Minister of Health and affirmed that the project is not only for Edo State, but also intended to serve the 6 South-South states and other regions across the country.
For us in South-South, the project we are commissioning today is not restricted to Edo State alone. It's for the 6 states of the South-South region. And we want to say thank you, Mr. President.
In Benin, Brother Johnny, UOP TV News.
Well, thank you so very much, Rhoda, for that report. You're still watching the Midday News right here on Voice of the People Television. We're going on a very short break right now. When we return, business, sports, and entertainment will be up next. Stay with us. Glad to have you back. It is still the Midday News right here on Voice of the People Television. Now to some business stories. Operators in the Nigerian financial institutions sectors, including banks, insurance, and other companies, contributed 1.77 trillion naira to the economy in the first quarter of 2024. The National Bureau of Statistics disclosed it in its Nigerian Gross Domestic Product Quarter 1 2025. The figure represents 15% year-on-year increase from 1.545 trillion naira in the corresponding period of 2024, up by 16.8% year-on-year from. According to the NBS, the finance and insurance sector consists of the 2 subsectors, financial institutions and insurance, in which the former accounted for 90.74% and the latter 9.26% of the sector, respectively, in real terms in Quarter 1 2025. It added that the sector grew at 21.01% in nominal terms year-on-year, with the growth rate of financial institutions at 22.82% and 5.74% growth rate recorded for insurance. More so, the overall rate was higher than Quarter 1 2024 by 9.97% points and lower by 9.43% points than the preceding year. From there, let's move to some sports stories. Nigeria's team of 60 students athletes and their officials are set for the inaugural African School Sports Championship holding in Annaba, Algeria. The competition, scheduled to begin today and end on August the 5th, is expected to bring together over 3,000 athletes and coaches from the 51 African nations. Team Nigeria's athlete, said to have been carefully selected, will be competing in 10 sports, with 12 featuring athletics, 8 in swimming, 4 in taekwondo, and beach canoe each, while 2 athletes each feature in cycling and table tennis. The football event has 18 players, while 3x3 basketball and badminton have 3 players each. Ahead their departure from Abuja on Thursday, the Director General, National Sports Commission, Bukola Olopade, said the event was a milestone in Nigeria's grassroots sports journey. According to him, this championship means a lot to Nigeria because it is about planting seeds, just as the student athletes are ambassadors of the nation's future. Olopade said the commission was deliberate in creating pathways from the classroom to the global stage. And from sports, we move straight to entertainment, where organizers have named Jos, the capital of Plateau State, as host of the 4th season of Miss Tourism Africa and Mr. Tourism Africa International 2025. This was announced by the Miss Tourism Africa and Mr. Tourism Africa International organization against the backdrop of the city's breathtaking landscapes and deep-rooted tourism heritage. No fewer than 50 international delegates from across Africa are expected at this year's finale, with 30 beauties competing for the Miss Tourism Africa title and 20 of Africa's finest gentlemen contesting for the Mr. Tourism African title. Governor Caleb Mufwang has endorsed the 2025 edition of the contest through the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Hospitality as one of his administration's major cultural and tourism development projects. According to the patron of Miss Tourism Africa, Dr. Raymond Okonkwo, Jos is not just a city, it is Africa's home of peace and tourism. He added that the organizers believe in showcasing Plateau's untapped beauty to the world while creating opportunities for young Africans through tourism, talent, and trade. And that's it on the midday news. But before we go, a quick look at the headlines once again. Nerc insists states reducing power tariff to pay subsidies. RICS worries as World Food Programme suspend nutrition aid to the Northeast. Again, President Bola Tinubu mocks opposition and calls a coalition of confusion. You are intolerant. ADC and CUPP blast President Bola Tinubu over labeling. FG to repatriate Nigerian workers stranded in Central African Republic. Gunmen kill 14 villagers, policemen in Plateau attacks, and in business, NBS put banks, others imputes to economy at 1.77 trillion naira. In sports, Nigeria off to school competition championship in Algeria. And the world of entertainment, Plateau to host Miss and Mr. Tourism Africa 2025. But that's it on the midday news right here on Voice of the People Television. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we are at VOP TV, and on other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Thank you so very much for being a part of this broadcast. I am David Edwin. Do have a good afternoon.